What's up everyone, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I want to talk about the 4th Anniversary Romancing Festival Rerun banner that brings a lot of good things. First, it has a 10% drop rate, meaning that it's double the normal because there are plenty of styles here. And the styles that you can find here are from 1 of October of 2023 to 29 of February of 2024. The game has been seeing a big power creep, so not many styles are really useful as they are, but some can give you some inheritance options and can work for Remembrance or very specific fights. Well, I want to talk about them all, but first, besides the 10% drop rates, we have two different versions of this banner. This one, where you have the first pull for free, and then you have to do 3 pulls, and then you can do another free pull. And you should be using free gens on this banner. This one will give you a lot of value if you have lots of free gens, or if you are a re-roller. If you came back to the game, or if you want to start it over, this is a good banner to do so. And then we have the paid version that has increased cost at the first pull, and it just keeps decreasing to the last step being on 1.5 thousand paid gens. So the first price is very big, 5,000. That is very close to the 6,000 that we normally spend to do 5 multi-pulls on new banners. Since we are looking in the past, it is mostly for veterans that also purchase gens and want to snipe a very specific character. And if they are 4, well, at least you know that you're gonna leave the banner with what you want. Or you can bet and try with free gems, but that is mostly just for those that have a large amount. Another important point is that because we start with a free step and then another free step after 3 pulls, you will only need 33,000 free gens in order to PT one character. So there is a discount and you even have double rates. Okay, but now I'll be going to the exchange button so that we can see all the styles. I also want to say something. I'm not saying that you need to PT all characters off the list. I am making this video for both rerollers and for people that want to test their luck, and they may get to 15,000 coins, and then they will check the characters they are missing based on the list that I am pointing out. So the first list has the more interesting characters, while the other lists will have characters that are less impactful or important, or are just about inheritance. And we'll start talking about the ones that are useful as they are. They still work on hard challenges. The first one will be Jo. Well, Jo is a main target here because she has Flame Force, a very important skill for her next style. This one gives Rousing Bound. This passive allows another surviving ally to trigger defense boosts when they get hit to the whole party. So that in big fights where the enemy attacks multiple times, you can increase your sustain by buffing your defenses on every hit the enemy performs. She also has Odd Circle, and right now we have lots of VP batteries in the game, sometimes allowing Jo to use this every turn. This gives attack and defense boost, and she has a chance to chase with 2 different attacks. Jo is still a prime time character. Besides Jo, we have Julian. That is still a very useful style, even if he was power creeped by the newest Final Emperor. But there's one thing that Julian still has versus Final Emperor, and that is pierce damage. For example, you may be in a fight where pierce is the only weakness of the enemy and the enemy resists slash. So Julian will perform better than Final Emperor. Julian also buffs everyone's STR when he's hit, and when he's attacking he will buff then Endurance, both by 15%. When he's attacked, he will also be getting PP and attack boosts, so just gets stronger and stronger. He counters with Starry Rush that hits between 2 to 4 times and can buff all status but with very low chances, meaning that he actually can be very strong if the enemy attacks too much. Star Liberation gives him defense up, and that's it. Julian still works in all Remembrance fights for Sword, and even for fights where we can nuke with damage dealers and the enemies attack too much. Then after Julian, I would say that theoretically Human Male is the next one for counter. He's not as good as Julian, but he's the best AoE counter because of his Sword Intercept skill that will attack. He will then block all indirect damage, and then he will counter twice with Blasting Wild Sword. That can do a lot. But if you just want one counter, Julian is nice. Then I would have to say Matriarch. Of course, Matriarch's not as good as she was in the past. There are many competitors, but this Matriarch is still very useful because she allows you to buff when attacking up to 2 times. Then she has a defense boost that triggers every turn. She will also recover HP and buff all status 2 times in a fight, and then that skill can recharge twice. Her normal buff is also fast and buffs endurance and will, allowing you to protect your characters before the enemy attack usually. And if you have the newest Matriarch, she can inherit either White Spear or Heaven's Heel. You can forget about all the other versions of Matriarch besides the 4th one that has the Evasion, Shield plus Heal, but that is just for some fights as well. After Matriarch, I would say that Creator Top Hat style is still a very nice pick, especially if you have his Halloween style that can also be chosen by tickets in the special ticket selection. He has Creator's Flare, that as it is, it's pretty nice because this one allows you to get 2 different effects, Intimidated and Sundered. Intimidated will allow the enemy to self-harm with attack down, so each new attack from the enemy will do less damage. It's kind of a reverse strategy of Joe. Joe is better though. And then he also applies Sundered, that will decrease the defense of the enemy each time you attack. Creator is also very useful for farming because he always chases with a sun attack. He usually solo farms enemies that are weak to sun and to heat and even sometimes to lightning. And he is also very useful for clearing challenges where you need to kill enemies in maybe 4 actions because of his overdrive extra damage. Then I believe that another character that will be very useful is Paulus. This guy is still the 2nd best debuffer in the game. Even the new J-Mill now is still not really better than Paulus. He got beat up by the latest Ocelus that is a better STR and intelligence debuffer. Paulus can debuff even dexterity and agility, so he also has access to a full AOE buff break that can be used a lot. He is also someone that can use it together in Saruin's team. And the best thing about Paulus is that he is easy to use. He casts a passive to everyone, and depending if they are using direct or indirect attacks, they will be debuffing either STR or intelligence. Still very useful, and I use him in many hard challenges. Then the other one will be Asparas. Well, Asparas has this style that was released after the Halloween one, and this is kind of like an upgrade. This will also allow her to debuff intelligence and will when attacking, so that you will be debuffing 20% if you have that skill that debuffs all status and buff breaks the enemy. So she also has a chance to chase with Psychic Hunt that can lead to 25% debuff. But the good thing is that Psychic Hunt casts a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 25%, but also a recovery BP passive, where if you get hit by spells, you're going to recover up to 3 BP. And if you want to use her just for BP generation, you can use Psychic Hunt, and then if she chases, it's up to 6 BP in that turn. So Asparas is still a strong damage dealer. She has a lot of damage potential, and another one that is still used as it is, but relies on having Witch Trick Inheritance. We can talk about Alkaiser, that although his damage is now not as good, he still has a very good kit. He has this passive that allows people to trigger defense ups, Spread Injustice, when they attack on critical, a defense up that decreases damage taken by 20% for the whole fight, and they self-heal. And then he has Glory Force that gives 3 different effects, a Morale up and a Guard up of very large effects. The Guard up decreases damage taken by 50% for 2 turns, alongside 1 evasion for 1 time that can help you with some gimmick fights where the enemy nukes. And then a Rising Phoenix attack that can do damage, boost your defenses by 25% for 2 turns, and he has a guaranteed chase and a stronger chase as well. Very useful for a March Remembrance, and can still be used well with the final Impress Sun style that gives him more BP so that he can keep using his best skills with no BP problems. And Glory Force, much like Matriarch's Heal plus Evasion, can also be recharged. That's why it's so good. After Alkaiser, there are 2 units that have been decreasing value, but they are still pretty good. And I would say Liz first. Liz, she is a very good defense booster and healer even. She has Dragon's Blessing Plus that can apply defense boost. Decreasing damage taken by 25%, can stack 4 times. She heals and gives VP as well, and even heals a lot every 3 turns while also applying either other defense boost. The thing is that she does not attack. Many of the recent characters allows you to get additional effects when you are attacking, so that's why she has been falling off the meta. But you can use her very well on Remembrance, only on the Megalith Dragon that you prefer to use a different style. But still very useful, I would say. And the other one will be Princess White Rose, because she has something very nice that is a end of turn healing via Brilliant Notes. It is related to RNG, but if you can keep casting Brilliant Notes, and we do have lots of good BP batteries now, she can actually be the main healer of the party and also a buffer, while still having Scroom Guard to decrease damage taken. Now, there are 2 styles that are worth mentioning, but they have much lower utility because they are farmers, and now so many cards can farm that I would not say that they are needed. But Merlot's Siren is still so good. The monster version has access to Chain Lightning that attacks between 2 to 4 times with AOE Pierce and Lightning, and is still the best farmer fast in the game, in my opinion. But there's also many others like the Entarg that is also pretty nice, and also that latest Vassalt. Just remember that the latest Entarg is not included here, but Vassalt is. He has this water combo skill that attacks 3 times with Blunt and Cold, where he can choose this for Asparas attack. Both can be used twice, so he is a very useful farmer. Now, I'll be talking about some other styles that may not be on their primes anymore, but are still very worth. I was saying, for example, Chiel. She is still very good for AOE debuff. She has plenty of different debuffs via inheritance as well, but she can also grind. She has a chase with Shadow and a chase with Blunt, and usually she can solo farm AOE stages with both. And then there is Juji. That is another AOE debuffer. Juji can help in some fights while still doing more damage than Chiel, eventually via Violet Knight if you have enough BP, but they are pretty similar. Juji has also a fire setup. Just remember that she still doesn't have a triple S staff for her double element gameplay, but if you choose to go full Shadow, you have a triple S Shadow staff that will work. Besides Juji, there is also the summer version of Enya that has good inheritance for her next style, either Luminous Blessing or Tropical Shine Vacation. Tropical Shine Vacation is nice because it allows you to remove debuffs to STR, Agility, Intelligence, and Charisma while also recovering HP. Now we just got 4 news that can remove all debuffs, so Enya can be redundant, but she can also inherit a skill that buff breaks the enemy. Sometimes it's useful. But a future version of Enya, a Christmas style that should be releasing soon, has a chase with that same skill that buff breaks. The next one will be Hilda, and she could be even higher on the list, but right now you will be seeing Hawk in a new banner, and Hawk is just like Hilda but on steroids, because he can give the same defense boost when he is hit to everyone, but it lasts for 2 turns, so you can reach even higher potential than Hilda. But Hilda is nice, she has okay damage, and sadly she just doesn't counter, something that should have been available on the character. But she has 1 damage block, she can cover, and then she can chase with Moulin Rouge. So Hilda is one of the useful units for Remembrance as well. Now, I will be talking about second grade characters, those that are useful mostly for Remembrance or very niche situations. Like, we can talk about Torpid. If you're skipping the next banner that has Hawk, and you can use Torp, but he's not as good as Hawk, he'll be allowing you to counter, and he even counters twice, and he also has Guard Up very large. You can even use both together if you want for the Megalith Dragon, because they don't really clash. Torpid has Guard Up, and Hawk has defense boost and attack boost. After Torpid, there is Bunny, if you are having difficulty with the gun Remembrance fights, because Bunny is good for support. She decreases damage taken at all times, and then she can apply this defense boost. It costs 10 BP, it's a little pricey, but it is something that you can use here and there. She can also recover everyone's HP to max and revive if needed, while also applying heat up at least once per fight. And still on the topic of guns, I could say that T260G is good, but there is a problem. We were gonna get a lot of gun users from the SaGa Emerald Beyond release in some months from now. T260G is still useful because it can heal, give BP, and attack multiple times. Can even farm, but it has been seen less and less utility and kinda lock it into Remembrance anyway. And then Bunny Emilia. This character here, although I skip it and people make jokes about that, is very useful for Remembrance because she can actually heal passively via use of her Brilliant Bunny Show. That gives this healing favor where you have 25% chance to heal. It's sometimes a very useful way to keep your character's HP high, but there is a future version of Human Male that uses guns that will also heal a ton. So Emilia can be easily skipped if you are thinking about pulling for that character. But even then, having both is not really a problem. Now, for clubs, we have two characters that can be used for Remembrance. One is Elizabeth. She has type of defense reduction for all allies, and she can also give defense boost when she is attacking, and sometimes she can attack twice, so decreasing damage taken is vital for the future because of hard Remembrance fights. And then there is Mask. This character has a revenge system where if other surviving allies are attacked, he stores one whip stance and then he can use it on a delay. So for every time someone else is attacked, he attacks once with a C power attack. Not really important for challenges right now, but for Remembrance, depending on the boss, it is okay. But he does not decrease damage taken from the party, so that's his biggest problem. Summer Orlette is still an okay character as well because she has a bow in a club style and can inherit from, and apply ailments on all Remembrance fights besides the Megalith Dragon. On the Megalith Dragon she doesn't help much, but she can still be used as your counter, since she counters with Flame Hammer. For swords, I would say Ocelus is still okay, even though there is a new version of Ocelus. This one here has Scrum Guard attached, and she has Adrenaline Sunblade, a skill that buffs, gives a 25% chance to evade, and gives BP to everyone as well. And after she attacks, she chases with a strong attack, and then enters a counter stance. So she can actually be useful in some situations. Not as good as Julian, that's why she's low on the list, but she buffs the whole party for all status, while Julian is just about STR and Endurance. Depending on the fight, she can replace him. Asus can also use Rising Nova Plus from one of her S styles that appears on premium banners, and she becomes a buff breaker. That is a useful way to handle some boss situations where they keep buffing, since she already applies 20% damage reduction to the party, and will stop enemies from buffing too much. Then I would say Swift is still a strong nuker for Remembrance, and he can practically solo all challenges before Megalith Dragon, if he has some support, so it's not really a solo, but anyways, his damage is pretty high. But for real challenges, he's not really useful anymore, since it takes too much time to build, and he buffs, and if the enemy removes your buffs, he loses part of his damage. But for Remembrance, a key character that will just give you lots of rewards. And the next character is Shirei, first style. For new players, it is still a useful style to allow you to beat old content, since he gives a lot of PP to the party via flooring strings. But moving forward, the newest Shirei does not use this skill anymore, and the future one also does not use this skill anymore, and we may get better PP generators that offer even more. But if you get this as a pull, it is a nice one to keep for sure. Other not so relevant character for today's standards is Razen. Well, I would not recommend Razen for hard challenges, but for Remembrance, if you are still having difficulty, he can give you attack and defense boost, and has a heal that recharges every 5 turns. Then there is the bunny version of Rock Bouquet that, while not strong anymore, she do okay damage for Remembrance, and can pass on Lightning Barrage to her future style. That gets into overdrive every turn, and then she allows you to get extra damage in a overdrive chase. Another one could be Rouge, because this guy here is another Shadow Specialist, can be used together with Saruin, because he applies Weak Point Shadow. to enemies so that they lose shadow defenses, and that increases the overall damage of shadow squads. It is easier to make a shadow squad now because of suddenly it was not back then when Rouge was released. So if you want, you can get this one as well. Just not really important, and we'll get better stuff moving forward too. Now we get to a special point here. Styles that will make our current styles even better. I believe Goddess deserves a special slot here because her newest style is just so strong. And to be honest, this Goddess should have even been on other lists as well, because she is as good as she is. She has very good damage via Arsenal Ball and her Honeywell Ball Shiny Spike, and she applies damage block and would do even more attacks if she blocks damage on a turn. But the thing is, the newest Goddess is so strong and gets even better by the inheritance of Arsenal Ball. Much better, I would say. And it's a must if you are willing to spend the gens and got the newest one. I would say the counter one can be useful as well if you want a strong counter for Megalith Dragon. She has 1000 Blade Masamune that can even counter twice if used 2 times in a row, but just once would be nice to stop the Megalith Dragon. But it's not really as good as the Summer style. Just focus on this one, it is the best inheritance. You can also go for 4 news. This one is not as important, but I have been using 4-fold Vortex as inheritance because this is a strong attack by itself. It's just 10 BP, can be used 3 times, gives a 30% increase to cold damage, and grants 1 extra BP by the end of turn. For very long fights, allowing your 4 news to have extra BP generation is nice, even though you are spending 10 in order to get the extra generation later. But if you already got his Gobby will pull inheritance to make him a counter, you're probably set. Then for other inheritances there is Leon, and with this version of Leon you can inherit Convert Weapon. That will give him Anti-Material Shot Chaser, and the newest Leon still benefits from this a lot, because this is a strong attack with triple S power and can debuff the enemy's endurance, allowing him to do even more damage, and you just waste 1 turn to do so. Then there is also Firebringer, that another one that should be as good as this, but it's getting old. But if you got the newest, if you inherit Scarlet Fire Dual Blade, you can apply Morale Down Medium for 3 turns, and that works well. And then there is also Fake Gustav, that is a strong damage dealer, but now can even apply Morale Down and Guard Down if you got the newest Fake Gustav. Some other styles that can give some interesting inheritances can be Puyo, if you got the latest Azami. She has a skill that can allow you to debuff Intelligence and Endurance, and this one debuffs STR and Dexterity, so she is now capable of debuffing many different styles. Besides, I would say that Hiveris can be good if you have the newest Hiveris to inherit the Zero Absolute technique that applies defense up, decreasing damage taken by 15%, and a hit down to the enemies, decreasing their offenses by 5% for the whole fight. Okay, I don't know if there's any other style that will be so useful, so if you think I forgot about something, say here in the comment section, I would greatly appreciate. Thanks so much for watching this, please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope to see you soon in the next video or live stream. Goodbye.